Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about something that is likely to cause major issues for the Republican Party in the future and for the foreseeable future. And gas stoves, because that has a lot to do with it. McCarthy had a dream. His idea, the Speaker of the House, he thought if he could get through that whole debt ceiling thing and get a budget through and all of that, that it would be okay because they'd be able to move forward with that very small majority that they have and rack up some wins on some basic legislation in the House, get it passed through the House. That way they can say they did their part. The problem with that is that that's not happening. It's not happening because of factionalism. For years and years, we have talked about how the Democratic Party is a coalition party. The reason they don't have unifying messaging is because they're not unified, right? And it causes a lot of issues for the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is starting to fall into the same situation. For years, the Republican Party consisted of, we're status quo. We are status quo, and the 11th commandment and all that. Don't speak ill of another Republican, so on and so forth. All they had to do was say change is scary and should be avoided. And that's how they won. But starting around, I don't know, let's say 2016, there was a shift. And the Republican Party started becoming more and more factionalized and less cohesive. They didn't agree with each other. They tried to out status quo each other and basically become more and more aggressive. So you got terms like Rhino, Republican in name only. You had the different factions develop, Never Trumpers, MAGA, so on and so forth, right? It is to the point where the Republican Party is acknowledging this to themselves, but they're joking about it. Meeting with the five families. That's what they're calling the different factions. The factions themselves are becoming further and further apart ideologically because you have a whole bunch of people who are more interested in social media clicks than presenting a cohesive front for the Republican Party. They're trying to show how radical they are in defense of, ideas from the 50s. This is an issue that the Democratic Party has dealt with for a long time. Purity testing. You're not really progressive enough. You're a corporate Dem. You're that type of thing. The Republican Party's been able to avoid that for a really, really long time. They need somebody who can unify them to get through this. The problem is, nobody who's announced their run for presidency is capable of doing it. So it's not going to happen for another 4 years. And realistically, there's only one person I think is up to the task, and he doesn't seem to have any interest in doing it. I don't think you're ever going to get that man out of Georgia. So you will start to see them attack each other more than they attack Democrats. The way the Democratic Party does. They bicker amongst themselves rather than fight for the things that they can agree on. And it's going to have the same issues. But Republicans, conservatives, they tend to hold grudges a whole lot longer. So you're going to see issues like with what just happened with the gas stoves. I don't even know how this really started, but a Republican, priority is to stop a ban on gas stoves that, to my knowledge, isn't really happening at the federal level. Like, that's not on Biden's agenda, but they're definitely going to try to stop it. And that legislation was a priority for McCarthy. It was something he wanted to get through, and theoretically they have the votes to do it. However, the MAGA Republicans, they sabotaged him as payment for the debt ceiling. They didn't get what they wanted, so they stopped this bill from going through. And they did it on like a rule vote. I want to say that's the first time the majority's lost on a rule vote in 20 years. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more infighting within the Republican Party, arguing over who is more authoritarian and more aggressive is really what it's going to boil down to. And I would suggest you're going to see that for at least 4 years. It's going to get worse over the next 4 years. And unless a actual leader emerges within the Republican Party, you'll see it for even longer than that. I don't think there's anybody up to this task who is willing to accept it within the Republican Party. So get ready to watch McCarthy and other Republicans fail where they should win, where they should have support from their own party. They're not going to have it over internal feuds. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.